Thank you so much for being here today.
Oh, thank you for having me. All right, well, good morning, everybody. How y'all doing today?
Okay.
Outstanding. Well, my name is George Clark, and I represent Westec. And what I'm here to talk about, y'all, today is Westec. So, out of curiosity, anybody familiar with Westec or what we do? So, what do you know about Westec?
It's a certified program that lasts for a range of either 1 to 4 weeks in some cases, where you can receive certain certificates to increase your job probabilities.
All right. And a huge misconception about Westec is that we are an oil field based safety company. And this actually is not true. We actually only have two classes that are specific to the oil field, which is the passport training and then our well control, in which I'm not going to be pitching that today because that is very specialized training and very costly. All of our other safety training is geared for general industry, right? So a lot of these trainings, if you decide to take some, you can take these certificates and apply in a wide variety of industries, from agriculture to construction to your general industry. I heard somebody say Best Buy might be hiring, right? So here's a prime example. Best Buy might need a forklift driver. We offer the forklift certification where you can get that basic safety training on how to operate a forklift. And then you can not only apply like at Best Buy, but Grimway, Bolt House, any of your agriculture, warehousing, right? So a lot of these certificates will go across the board. And one of the great things about a lot of our certificates is a lot of companies within Kern County use Westec as their safety training provider. So we are known within the community, and a lot of the companies out there will honor our certificates. Right now, our competitor, which is ABC, and I'm not going to knock them because, well, they do very similar training, is also known throughout the community as well. So these certificates right here, a lot of companies, it'll give you a upper hand having these certificates because it's less money they have to spend on you before or after they hire you to make sure that you have the basic safety awareness that you need to go out there and not get hurt. Now, the particular program I am going to be pitching today is what we call the Training for Success. So my superiors above me a long time ago saw this need in the community of people needing training that were unemployed, right? But how do you go pay for training if you don't have a job to go pay for that training? So what we did is we teamed up with some of the other nonprofits within our community, and we developed what we call Training for Success. So what we do is like the one that I'm going to be talking about today is through Garden Pathways. Right, and I don't know if you guys know much about Garden Pathways, but I'm not getting paid to promote them. But I thoroughly believe in this particular program right here, because what Garden Pathways does is they take people in need and they find the help that they need, right? If they don't offer the services themselves specifically, they have a connection somewhere in the community to help you settle that need right there, right? So what we do for Garden Pathways is we come in and we do the Training for Success program. Now, where this helps you out, a lot of people, they range from either very young and no experience, so what do you put on your resume, to potentially being incarcerated for a long time. So what they do is they help people write resumes, they help people with soft skills, interviewing, things of this nature. They help with clothing, housing, if there's a need that somebody has, they help them. So where we come into play is we help with the training. Now, you come in, you take this 3-week training, and here's the beautiful thing. It's no cost to you, right? All it costs you is your time. If you have the willingness to learn and the want to try to better yourself, you can sign up for this program, get all these certificates at no cost to you. Now, if you come into our campus, each one of these classes will range anywhere from $30 to $105. So you're roundabouts getting about $900 worth of training at no cost to you. And this is one reason why I don't understand why a lot of people don't take advantage of this program. I do understand scheduling sometimes conflicts with everything, because that's the catch. When I tell people it doesn't cost you anything, that's always their first question. Well, what's the catch? There's got to be, what do you want from me? Well, what we want from you is to show up on time every day for 3 weeks, right? With this particular program, you either get all or nothing, right? So that's also why I do kind of pitch our campus classes, because there are a lot of people out there, it's just like, hey, I don't need the 3 weeks. All I need is the forklift certification, and I can have a job on Monday. Perfect. That would behoove you to come in, pay the $35, take the course, and then start working on Monday. But if you're kind of like in a transitional period, not knowing what to do, or you're wanting to better yourself, you have the time to spend 3 weeks with us, we will give you 9 different certificates, right? And some of the popular ones within companies that they come to us all the time is passport training is number 1. Medic first aid CPR, which I always recommend everybody to do that class regardless of what your path is, because it's definitely a helpful thing to know. And the HAZWOPER course. Right now, the 40-hour HAZWOPER course is very important for the simple fact we get a lot of temporary agencies who pick a lot of students out from these classes from us. And why, you might ask? I mean, look at the news. Almost every day there's some sort of hazardous chemical spill, and you're not allowed to go onto these job sites without this specific training. This one is very handy to have, although it is a very long training. I'll just be Captain Obvious here. 40-hour HAZWOPER takes you 40 hours to complete, so it is a very in-depth training where we basically train you how to work around hazardous chemicals. So the HAZWOPER is basically hazardous waste operations, right? So we teach you all the operations within a hazardous waste site, within an emergency spill, how to protect yourself, and most importantly, how to respond to it. A lot of these trainings are going to boost your resumes as well, right? There's always that section with education that I come across a lot of students, they're like, man, I didn't even graduate high school. I don't know what to put on here. Well, with these safety trainings, now you have some certifications that you can put on it, right? And if you like going to school, or you find a knack for this, and I've veered some people's pathway of, hey, I really enjoy doing this. Westec is accredited under TAF College, right? So when you come and attend these classes, you get TAF College credits. So if you choose to go to college after this program, you already have like a class knocked out right here, right? Which is going to go to your degree program. And it doesn't seem like a whole lot of credits, but when you're paying for these classes, 1 class less, or when you're aiming for that degree, 1 class less is definitely a really neat thing to have. So, do I have any questions on these?
It's free, right?
It is no cost to you. Now, I always tell people nothing's free in life. What it's going to cost you is your time. That's it.
For the scheduling, what times are the classes typically?
Okay, so the classes run Monday through Friday, and I tell everybody the class starts at 8, so you got to be there before 8. I tell people 8 to 4, but the chances of you being there up until 4, maybe on certain classes that run a little longer, it will happen, but you're generally out of there in between 3 and 4 o'clock.
Okay.
Where's it at?
So Garden Pathways is located off Q and 22nd.
Okay.
Right.
Which is like near downtown.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for the most part. Like if you're going down Golden, I'm trying to get my bearings here. If you're going down like Golden State, it's as soon as you go over Chester.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right by the 178. Instead of getting on the 178, you make a right, and it's like right there.
Okay.
And I definitely like Garden Pathways because it's a nice big facility. It's just, I think it's very conducive for the learning environment. We do offer these programs in other places throughout the community, but they're further out, they're smaller rooms, and the crowds can get a little bit more rowdier as well. Yeah. To put it nicely. So basically through Garden Pathways is what they do is they basically vet all the students, because there was a time it's just like, hey, whoever wants to come in, they're just filling our classes. And yeah, that's nice for them, that's nice for us, but then we're getting like 20-30 people in there, and maybe 5 of them want it to be there. So it's just, we start catering to those 5 people, and then everybody else just kind of goes. So there are a couple hoops that you do have to jump through Garden Pathways. They just want to make sure that, hey, look, I'm serious about this, I want to be here, I'm going to try to benefit from this. So they make you fill out like a little questionnaire. You talk to a counselor for a couple moments. They see if you have any other needs that maybe aren't being met. They try helping you out with that, and then they put you in class. Right, so this class, this is one of the most popular classes that we have, because we run this class once a month, right? So every month we're starting a new Garden Pathways class, and there's always a waiting list for this particular one right here, because 3 weeks of free training, is unheard of, which always comes back to the question of what's the catch, right? And that is the only catch. Be totally transparent with you, you have to be there, right? You have to be there. You miss a day, you get excused from the class, and maybe they'll let you try again next month. But I always feel really bad for the people who make it all the way into the 3rd week, and then they don't show up one day. Yeah, you still have all the information in your head, but you don't get all the little wallet cards.
So like each month is like at the beginning of the month you start like the 3 weeks or something like that?
It's not necessarily the beginning of each month. It just all depends on Garden Pathway schedule, and it also depends on our scheduling if we have instructors open, if you will. But for the most part, yeah, it's generally 1st, 2nd week within it. Okay. And with this, all you got to do is call Garden Pathways, say, hey, I'm interested in taking the Westec classes, and they will schedule you for an appointment to come down and do their vetting.
And then it's done in the month you started? It's done that month?
I'm sorry?
The month that you start the classes is done that month?
Yes, it's done that month. So once you're done with the 3 weeks, you walk out with all your certificates.
Nice.
Right, so it's not a thing where I gotta wait for them to be mailed to me or any other thing. When the last day comes around and they do their little graduation ceremony, you get handed your certs right then and there. Thanks. So it's definitely, I always pitch this as a resume builder too, especially if you're looking to, I don't know, maybe try something new, or if I had these certificates, I might be able to get this job. And the other thing where this is a bonus, because let's just say that you two are going for the same job, you have exactly the same skills, you have the same value, everything's same. You have all the safety training, he or she doesn't, they're probably going to look at you a little more, because now that's less money that they have to invest into you to get that safety training. Right. Granted, your training won't stop here, because our training is based around hazard awareness. So we can't teach you every hazard that you're going to encounter out there. So when you get to your job site, more training will come about for site specific. But our main goal with our students is to be able to look at something and go, hey, there's a hazard here, let me back off, let me go ask questions, because I'm not exactly sure. Because our main goal is for you to go home in the same condition that you arrive at work every single day. And hopefully that's your main goal as well, because I don't know, how many want to lose a finger? Yeah, or a limb. There's a lot of accidents happen out there, and that's where the safety training comes involved. Now, we can't train you every specific hazard, but what we can train you is, hey, hang on, something doesn't look right. Let me stop what I'm doing, let me ask questions. And hopefully by the end of the training, you have that confidence, you have that knowledge to be able to protect yourself while you are out there. That's our main goal. We don't want to see people get hurt. And that is one benefit of working with a nonprofit organization, because we're not out for cash, right? Our company, we want to make sure that people are protected out there. So handing out these free classes, you're not really going to come across that anywhere. But like I did say, You know, if you want to come into our campus and just take a class, it'll cost you about $35 depending on what class you want to take. And the only reason why I bring that up over free classes because free's better than $35. You know, if all you need is one specific training to land a job, then it's worth going in there and paying that $30, knocking it out in one day and carrying on with your path. But this is definitely a solid program. We've been doing this for a long time now, actually. So I've been with Westec. Yes, ma'am.
Do you guys work with labor finders still, or?
Well, we don't have a job specific to it, but part of my job is going out and talking to the community. So I do know a lot of people within various temp agencies, and I'm always keeping my ear to the ground. And within Garden Pathways, I always try to bring in representatives from, you know, said temporary agency to try to get jobs. I do keep my ear open, but it's not something that I'll say, yes, we do. We try to help people out wherever, however we can, but not a dedicated position for it.
Okay.
You're welcome. So, have any interest in it? I mean, I see a lot of
Yeah.
smiling faces here.
Yeah, I was thinking about doing it.
All
Something
right.
I'm interested in.
Yeah, it's definitely a solid program. Like I said, in Garden Pathways, we've been working with Garden Pathways for quite some time. So when we first started this program was back in the, oh man, I think it was the early 90s. We started working with California Youth Authority. So that's where this program actually started. And when California Youth Authority went away, the program kind of went away for a little bit. We had some change in management and personnel, as all places do over time. And my supervisor started seeing the need for this. We teamed up with Garden Pathways and we started this Training for Success program. So I know this had been trying to run right before I got recruited onto Westec, and I've been there for 7 years. So we've been doing this for quite some time now, and since Garden Pathways, other programs have looked at us and go, hey, will you come do this for us? So we work with Turning Point, Kennemer Center, we work with New Life Center, we work with Jason's Retreat, and then we also have little programs that pop up here and there. We come in, we train a bunch of people, and then it's not an ongoing thing. You know, it's just a one-time deal just because they don't really have the need or the students. But Garden Pathways has been running for a long time, and it's a very successful program as well. So we try to track success with this, and it is a very hard thing to do. It's like herding cats, basically. But we do have a handful of students that will come back after doing one of these programs, and it completely changed their life, right? People come from all walks of life, have all kinds of backgrounds. We don't judge. If you're here to help, try to better yourself, we are here to help. So we had one particular guy who comes back whenever he can, whenever he's in country. Been in and out of prison pretty much his whole life. The last stint he did was like 10 years. And it was for, you know, I'm not going to try to steal his story because I just hear it. But he went to jail for some pretty bad things, right? He came out wanting to turn his life around, ended up taking one of our Training for Success programs, had a mentor who kind of took him under his wings. He works for a big oil company now as a driller, flies around the world doing drilling operation, makes over 6 figures a year and works 6 months of the year, right? So he accredits a lot of it to the Training for Success program. You know, I'm guaranteed he had a lot of other help on the way, but his drive and his motivation to make his life better, along with a little bit of help, definitely one of our great success stories. And I love hearing this guy talk too. Little rough around the edges, but you know, he's a oil field guy, so what do you really expect? We always got to tell him, hey dude, watch your language, man, watch your language. but definitely a success story. We get other people who will come in after doing this and land an opportunity. The certificates help them get a job. Their drive and motivation help them keep the job and excel in it. You know, so I'm not going to say that you take this training, all of a sudden all these doors will open and you'll start making $100,000 a year, but it definitely will give you opportunities you may not have had not taking the schooling.
Yeah. So once you take all your courses or whatever and you pass, does Westec go out and try to help you job search then, or is it more on your own after you?
Yeah, it's more on your own.
Okay.
So, like I was telling the young lady in the back, I keep my ear to the ground for any potential job openings that are out there. And I have a lot of recruiters that approach me going, hey, we're looking for this person. Or, hey, you know, do you have any star students in your class? Which, you know, I don't really teach the classes all that much. This is more or less my job these days. But I'm really close with all my instructors as well. And they're always pointing out to me, hey, look, you know, this student right here stands out above the rest. And we help where we can, but no, we don't necessarily go and beat the streets for you. That's on your own.
Okay.
Okay? But we do keep our ear out, definitely, because we work with majority of the temporary agencies around here, which I'm not a big fan of temp agent. Oh, I'm being recorded. Dang, I was going to say, don't say I said that. You know, it's just, in my youth, I didn't have good experiences with them, right? I understand why they exist and the need for them. And there are some temp agencies out there that are very good. And we do work with a lot of them. But that's generally where I send most of my students. Right, especially if you just want to take a couple of classes, you get on with like a Bonnie pays for the training. We have a contract with them. Continental has a contract with us, so they'll pay for your training. You know, I always try to steer people in the way of, you know, let somebody else pay for it if you can land that. Right. I know when I wasn't working, trying to pay for something is very hard when, especially if you have mouths to feed at home, or, you know, feeding your other living needs have to get tended to first. So how do you better yourself? Which is why this particular program is awesome. Now the tough part is 3 weeks, right? I don't know if I could give up 3 weeks if I needed a job. Right, so, and that's why we'll also go into some places, like I was telling Stephanie, you know, you got enough people, we can come in and kind of tailor it. And we go into high schools, we go into continuation schools, we are all over the place. Because like I was saying, that's the beautiful thing about working for a nonprofit. We're not chasing the dollar, we're trying to help people the best way that we can. And that's why we team up with these programs who also are trying to help people the best way they can. I mean, I won't lie to you, we got to make enough money to keep our doors open, and we find ways to do that, but we try not to put it on to our students. Is like, for example, our first aid CPR, we charge $35 for it. Try finding that anywhere. You won't. And one of the misconceptions is, inexpensive training must mean that it's not worthwhile. Well, we pride ourselves on quality training at low costs, right? We put our cost on other things, which, you know, I'm not going to begin to explain to you, but we try to keep our cost as bare minimum as we can to our students. And I've been working for Westec for 7 years. I haven't seen our rates raise once, except for well control. That one went up a little bit. But our general industry safety courses, I mean, in 7 years, I mean, have you ever seen somewhere not raise their rates? Look at gas prices right now. Oh my goodness, right? And, you know, that's a whole nother thing too. If you know anything about the oil business, a lot of time when gas prices go up, it means oil business is booming, which means people are working, right? So if you have that drive and that will, you know, we're here to help you where we can, and where we can help you is the safety training that a lot of companies need, want, and will require of you. A lot of companies, they'll make you come take these trainings before they'll even look at you too, especially like passport. And that's a nice easy one too. It's 3 hours of some very general, don't put your hand in moving machinery training, just in case that isn't obvious. Right.
What other like is there like a bunch of different types of classes like school and or is it just like considered like certificates?
Well, with Westec, so basically, I guess we're considered more of a vocational school because what our main goal is to get training, safety training that you need to get you to work. Right now, another misconception: we're not going to train you on how to do a job. That'd be next to impossible for us. Is think of a room of a group of people. Everybody's going to have a different job, but safety is kind of safety across the board, right? Don't put your hand in moving machinery. Pretty much holds true across every industry. So we give you the general safety, right? Now, yes, there are trade schools that you can go to learn specific. I don't want to say trades again, but like you were asking me about welding. Right now, we do have a little bit of welding safety within our programs, but we're not going to teach you how to weld. We're going to teach you how to keep yourself safe around somebody who is welding, so you can actually see what the hazards are, right? And based off safety training, there may be a field that you find that, hey, I'm more interested in this. I want to learn more about it, and that's when you start furthering your education with that. Like I said, we are accredited under Taft College, and Taft College, I am a little biased towards Taft College, just to let you all know, has different safety programs. If you want it to be a safety professional per se, I don't really want to do the work, but I want to go fill out all the paperwork and make sure everybody remains safe. They have a degree program for that. They have an energy tech program. They have oil and gas program. They have a welding program. They have a wide variety of programs if you want the degree on top of this. So our main goal is to get you working. This isn't long-term education right here. This is, hey, let's make sure that you understand the hazards around you so you don't get hurt out there, is basically what we are revolved around. But yeah, we don't necessarily teach you how to do things. That comes elsewhere. Right. All right, some solid questions there. Most of you just stare at me. Like, okay. Then I get all nervous and just keep talking, so I don't want to keep rambling on. I know everybody's time is precious. But I definitely believe in this program. I'll keep going back to that nonprofit thing. I've worked for a lot of other companies where it's productivity based, it's bottom line based, and we do make enough money to keep our doors open, but that is not our drive. And it's something I can stand behind and I believe in as well.
So what did you take when you first got into it?
Me? This actually just kind of fell in my lap, to tell you the truth. I was in the right place at the right time, had the right credentials. So I was actually, if you want to know a little bit about me, I went to school, I wanted to be a counselor, is what I was going after. I wanted to be juvenile probation, is what I wanted to do. So I went to school for human services.
Okay.
I was a heavy equipment mechanic prior to that. I did that for about a little over 10 years. Prior to that, I worked construction. Prior to that, I worked medicine. Prior to that, I've done a lot of different things, and I was searching for my calling in life. Well, due to my military service, I got free schooling, so I'm like, well, if they're going to pay for it, I'll go get my degree. Even though I'm not really the college type person, I did it really late in my life. But I had this misconception, I get that college degree and all of a sudden all these doors will open up. Yeah, it didn't happen that way for me. So I was applying to the county because I did soul searching, and what I figured out, I just wanted to help people in some way.
Right.
I didn't know exactly how, but I was thinking juvenile probation. Hey, maybe I could put them on the straight and narrow before it got too bad, because, well, I had somebody who helped me out, so I figured I could help there. Wasn't getting a job, had a baby coming on the way, needed a job, so I went back into turning wrenches, and I got sent to Westec for a passport class. And as I'm sitting in that passport class, the instructor at the time's like, hey, we're looking for instructors. You know, anybody fit these qualifications? I'm like, hey, I fit those qualifications. Never in a million years would I have seen myself doing this. Once I started working with them and I started enjoying the work, because I get paid to talk to people. It doesn't get much easier than that. Right? And well, as you'll learn if you sit with me too much, I can talk forever. Right? So I found the place where I can help people and fulfill what I was looking for, which, you know, is just helping wherever I can. And that's where I really like Westec, is because that's what their goal is to do, is just try to help people. Right, so that's how I fell into this position. It wasn't something I sought out. It wasn't something I ever saw myself doing, but I found my niche in life. And my dad always told me, if you enjoy your work, you'll never work a day in your life. And I haven't worked in 7 years.
Nice. That's cool, man.
Yeah.
So, do you know when to apply for those, do you know when the October classes start or the deadline to apply?
Not right offhand. So basically, I'll hand out flyers to everybody, and your first step is to call Garden Pathways.
Okay.
Right? So I do have these flyers for everybody, and it'll let you know all the classes that you are going to receive from this particular training. And your very first step is to call Garden Pathways.
Okay.
From there, Garden Pathways is going to let you know what you need to do to get into the class. Because, you know, like I said, we don't organize anything. We provide the instructor, and the training is what we provide with them. And then I keep my ear out for jobs. If I hear anything, see anything, I try to pass them on to my instructors, who can distribute them throughout the students as well. From time to time, you know, there'll be like a mad rush to get a bunch of people in for a very specific job, and that's when I get recruiters calling me going, hey, do you have a program? We call it a program class. It's called Training for Success, but it's our program. Hey, you have a program class? And I'm like, yeah, I do. They're like, cool. When does it graduate? Can I come in and talk? And time to time, I'll get lucky, you know, and I'll pull people in, which is basically how we got hooked up with you guys, because we see Covenant, right? Covenant, sorry. We see Covenant at a lot of the job fairs that we go to. Right now, we're not at the job fairs trying to recruit people into our classes. We're there to mingle with everybody else to see if there's a need in the community where we can come and help. There's a lot of these job fairs we go to, we get more business through, you know, just talking with the vendors, which is how I keep in touch with all the temp agencies, because they're there to recruit people. We're there to like meet people and say, okay, hey, you know, can we get a business partnership here? You know, let us help you help the community you serve. Right? Yeah, I'm a strong believer of it. Because I want everybody to be safe. You know, I truly do, and it flows into my personal life as well. I think my neighbors hate me. I see them out there doing something boneheaded. You know, I'm going to go out there and correct them. You know, I see them weed eating without safety glasses. I'm going to go hand them a pair of safety glasses. And they always laugh at me. They're like, hey, do you just carry a box of safety glasses around with you? I'm like, actually, I do. I don't know, it's a passion of mine. It flows into my kids as well. I'm always preaching at my kids. And it's funny, me and my daughter were reading a Cat in the Hat book the other day. And the illustration had the cat hanging off the ladder, and I was so proud of my daughter. She goes, Daddy, I don't think that's safe. That's right. So I don't want you to get hurt. right? And a huge passion of this comes from I lost a brother in an industrial accident. So I have a huge passion for this to try to keep people safe. You know, I may not know you, but I still care about you and I don't want you to get hurt out there. You know, so that's where my passion for this particular program comes. And that's why I thoroughly enjoy working with a lot of the other nonprofit organizations, because when you get one that truly cares about their people, it's just heartwarming to see somebody come up from whatever they were going through and rise above it and succeed. As there's just no better feeling in my opinion. So that's what Westec's about, and this is our safety program. Right? And I was going to try not to ramble on about this, but a lot of people also don't know safety is not the only thing that Westec does. If your passions lie elsewhere, well, we also have 2 other programs within Westec. So I will talk your ear off about safety because that's what I do, that's where my compassion is, but we also train court reporters as well. And if you guys don't know what court reporters are, those are the people who sit on the little machine and take down everything that's being said inside of a courtroom, right? So that degree is actually a 2-year degree, and it is through Taft College. So if you can complete that particular training, you come out with an associate's degree with it. They also train you to be able to pass all your state tests so you can be a certified court reporter. Now, as my understanding, court reporters starting off make about $100,000 a year. That's starting off. You have your license, you can start at $100,000 a year.
Court reporting?
Yeah, as a court reporter.
Is it in demand?
What's that?
Is it in demand?
Yes, always in demand, which always makes me scratch my head, because it's like, why do you need somebody in there typing everything you say when you can just record it, you know? But anyways, yes, there is a huge demand for it. Right, not only in the court systems, but mediation they use a lot. The court reporters also go on to do transcribing, because everybody familiar with shorthand? Yeah, I don't know much about it, because I look at the people who are taking this and they're speaking another language to me. Because by the end of the program, you're typing like 200 words a minute, able to listen to like 6 different conversations. That to me is just impressive. I can barely listen to one conversation and take down everything, right? Let alone a bunch of people talking. I'm just shut down, right? So that particular field of study is very intense, but very lucrative if you can get through it and you enjoy it. One of my neighbors just happens to be a court reporter who knows the manager's wife of court reporting, and I really love talking to this lady, because I mean, all the drama you see on the news, chances are she knows something about it, right? Now, she won't tell us anything until the case is over, or otherwise she'd probably get in trouble, I would imagine, and she's still very hush-hush about it. But there are certain things that she can tell us that her stories are just really interesting. So if you like being in the courtroom, this might be another path that you might want to look at. Also, we train correction officers as well. Right, now this particular career path always makes me scratch my head, because I've tried very hard my whole life to stay out of prison, right? I don't want to be in prison. Don't like going to jails, county, federal. I do not like it, right? I have to go to prisons, and I always complain to my boss. It's like, hey, I've tried very hard my whole life to stay out of jail, and you're ruining this for me. So now I got to go to jail, right? Yeah, I get to go home. At least we're on the right side of the bars. But nevertheless, we also train correction officers as well. Now, once you finish the academy through our corrections program, you are eligible for any privately owned prison or federal are the 2 prisons that will hire. And what a lot of people do, if you're interested in a career path of law enforcement on any caliber, they take this as a starting point, just a stepping stone. We've had students come through there, just happened to know them personally because they were in my safety classes out in Taft. Safety fell through the bottom for them, so they're like, oh, you know what, now I want to be an FBI agent. It's like, oh, well, that's so okay. So they'll come through the corrections program, start getting some experience, and then move up from there. And the corrections, I like all those guys. They're all retired law enforcement. So sheriff, BPD, some of those guys have some very interesting stories. Like, did you guys know we had a joint terrorism task force here in Bakersfield?
Yeah.
I had no idea. I'm like, well, when you start thinking about it, I guess terrorists could come to Bakersfield, so we kind of are a shipping hub right here. But when I was hearing about that, I was amazed. We got everything from SWAT to chief of police. Our director of Westec is it might be 2 times former now, chief of police. Most of our instructors throughout Westec definitely worked in the caliber they're teaching. So all of our corrections instructors, they were law enforcement some way, somehow, right? From actual jailhouse correction officers to SWAT team members. All of our safety instructor, 90% of our safety instructors, we were military, we were paramedics, we were firefighters, they're police officers, or they have worked in the field that they were teaching for a very long time. So we range in age. I think I'm the youngest instructor there to some that might have autographed Bible. Yes, ma'am.
Is the correctional one free too, or do you have to pay for that?
Not necessarily. So with the corrections, there are ways of getting most of that training paid for. It's what's called a BOG, right? A Board of Governors fee waiver. And that will eliminate 90% of the cost. There is some other financial aid through that particular program. I don't know all the fine details of that program, and I was only supposed to be talking to you guys about safety, but you know, I just want to open up doors for whatever may interest you. It can cost as much as $1,500 to maybe $100 or so. Because I think uniforms is about the only thing you might not be able to get paid for, but there are a lot of other programs out there that, you know, some students come through and everything's paid for. If it is something that I didn't bring any information on it, I was told to talk about this one specifically, but just give Westec a call, and basically the 3rd Thursday of every month, we do an orientation for that particular academy. Right, so no cost to you. All you got to do is come in. It's about an hour to 2 hours, and you get all the information you need right there. They'll tell you all their expectations of you, and you know, it gives you an opportunity to you know, ask about your expectations. Now, the one thing I do like about the corrections is we offer day and night courses. So if daytime doesn't work for you, you can take the nighttime course as well. Now the night course is a little longer because you're going to school less than the day course, because the day course is an all-day thing, so 8 to 4, 8 to 5 thing, and I believe it's 8 weeks. Okay, don't quote me on that 100%, but it's an 8-week training.
For this?
No, not for this, for our corrections.
So do it at nighttime?
The nighttime, I believe it's either 10 or 12 weeks. Okay. Because, the day course, you know, you're getting 8 hours of training in. The night course, you're getting 4 hours of training. So I know it's a little longer, but they do some weekends as well.
And that's here.
In Shafter. So if you guys know where Westec's located? As I say Shafter, and everybody's like, oh man, it's so far. We are like literally the outskirts. Yeah, we're on the outskirts of Bakersfield. So I live in Bakersfield. I work in Shafter. It takes me about 10 minutes to get to work.
And that's where that's where you can get your corrections.
Okay, so if you want to come in just for a single class, you go out to Shafter for a single class in the safety department. If you are interested in court reporting, yes, it's on our Shafter campus. If you are interested in corrections, yes, it's at our Shafter campus.
And you just do your 2 years there.
Yes. Yeah, a lot of people go, oh man, it's so fun. It really, really is.
Which direction, like?
Okay, so if you were to take the 99, we are Lerdo Highway.
Okay. What's like a landmark?
Landmark.
I think it's 2 exits from here. It's,
Yeah.
Is it like that
2 more
way?
exits.
Try-
Yeah,
towards
trying to
north,
think
north.
exactly where.
Roseville?
No,
All
the
right,
other way.
so
The other way? Okay.
so if you were to hop on the 99 and head north from here, so if you hopped on Golden State or the Crosstown Freeway right here, it basically lets you on the freeway right at Olive. So then
Okay.
you got Olive, 7th Standard, and then Lerdo.
Oh, yeah. I used to live about, so that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah, we're literally right up the freeway. So, depending on where you live in Bakersfield, well, especially with all the construction that's going on right now, I'm so thankful I don't have to take the freeways. Is I live in the Northwest, so I can just take back roads to Lerdo, and it takes me absolutely no time to get there. When I feel all froggy, I'll even ride my bicycle into work from
That's
time to
cool.
time. No, it's say Shafter, and everybody's like, oh my goodness, it's so. And it's like, no, it really isn't. So, yeah, so we do offer all of these courses on campus, but you're going to pay for them individually there. Our court reporting, our corrections, yes, they're all on our
So-
campus.
So I got a question. So because of like the like foster care policy of like kids like this right here, like all of us. So it's like if you go to BC, right, it's free college, and then like even Taft, it's free. Is this the same thing?
It sounds like, from what I understand, like with the bog waiver and all of that stuff, it's the
Yes.
same as BC
Right.
or TAF.
So it's like that? So yeah,
It should be,
Yeah.
I would say, just
Free.
like what you said, it should pretty much be.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's,
that's cool.
if you're familiar with the bog, that's
Nice.
that's how we get the funding to keep it at no cost to you.
Cool.
Right, so we take that bog waiver, we pay Taft College pays us, and we cancel out the fee for you guys.
So you say Taft College is through Taft College, but you don't necessarily have to go to Taft College.
Now, through these programs, you are enrolled in Taft College because these are Taft College courses.
But it's not located.
No,
in
you
Taft.
don't go to Taft.
Okay, so I went to Taft College for like a month and I dropped out.
Okay.
That's not gonna affect me?
Yeah.
So even if you're on academic probation, let's say somebody's on academic probation at BC or Taft College, does that affect enrolling?
No, it does not.
Question.
And I get those questions a lot. And I've been doing this for 7 years, and I've never seen a conflict there. And the first time I got asked this, I'm like, ooh, I don't know. So I have to hit up my admin support out there, and they assure me that it does not. Because we are considered a vocational school, is what we are considered. Although our program is accredited under Taft, our court reporting is accredited under Taft, our corrections is accredited under BC, right? Because when do you even hear that a single entity is accredited under 2 different colleges? Because we also have some stake in KCCD, if you guys know what that is. We work with them a lot as well, because that's the collaborative of all the colleges around here as well. So we do everything in our power to keep these courses at no cost to you. And basically when you come into our classroom, that's what Taft College charges us to teach their classes. It confuses me, but it is what it is. So, we just try to make ends meet and keep costs, to nothing to as low as we possibly can for our students.
I mean, you definitely have to try to help.
Now and I don't know. I believe in our cause, so.
Yeah, you definitely don't find like that anywhere else. Like
No,
you're
you
saying,
don't.
there's always like a catch or something.
Always a catch.
Yeah.
And our catch is show up.
Yeah.
That's our catch, show up.
Even like free like online classes.
It
it's
still
still a
costs
catch.
you something.
Yeah, it's never nothing different.
It's like when you go to the phone store for a free upgrade.
Yeah, it's all.
Yeah, there's always a cost. It's like, how's it free? How can you tell me that's free if it's costing me money? That's not free.
That makes sense. Cool.
Right? And all this costs you is your time. That is our only catch. We want you to show up, hopefully learn something, and then move on your path. Try to open up doors for you, but that's we can give you education, knowledge, and then hopefully some doors will open up for you. And It's one thing that I always tell people too. It's like the last week I was telling you the third week a lot of people don't want because it's CDL Class A prep. So we prep you to go in and get your Class A license. Right? We teach you everything you need to know to pass the permit process. Right from there, you still have to jump through a lot of hoops. A lot of people always tell me, "Well, I don't want to be a truck driver." It's like, yeah, neither do I. I don't blame you. But why would you pass on any type of free knowledge?
Yeah.
Plus, I've heard a lot of people, like how you were saying about like the catches, they'll give you the training, but they'll have you drive with them for like 5 years or something. So you're caught up, with that person.
Yeah.
Contracted.
So it's best to, that way it's, just.
Yeah, you've always got to read the fine print, right? Always got to read that fine print. And our fine print is pretty large. Right? Show up. That's it. That is our fine print. Show up, participate in class, or at least don't cause problems, and you're good to go. Right? That is our fine print. But I always tell people, if somebody wanted to teach me how to underwater basket weave, I have no interest in it, but I'll learn it. Why not? You never know when you might need that knowledge. Yeah, I don't want to be a truck driver. But what happens if all of a sudden that was the only job out there that I can go, oh, well, hey, I have the training. Okay, let's go give it a go.
I know forklift training, like you have to renew that like every 2 years or something.
3 years.
3 years, yeah. Is any of the other ones like 3 years? 4
So
years, or
most of the certificates, I'll just blanket it, they're all good for a year,
Oh, okay.
right? With the exception of forklift is 3 years and first aid CPR is 2 years.
Okay.
Right now, there are some companies, because that is one thing I always try to make people aware of, right? There's regulation and then there's company policy. Regulation says you have to renew your forklift awareness training every 3 years. Company policy might say every year.
Okay.
So then you have to do it every year.
Right.
And this is something I've argued till I was blue in the face. It's like, well, OSHA says. Yeah, I understand what OSHA says, but we say. It's like, okay, as long as they make it safer for you, they're allowed to do that.
So, because for myself, I'm already CPR certified, would
Yes,
me
you still
taking-
have to go.
Yeah, so I would still have to redo that
Yes.
portion. Okay.
Right, so it's one of those downside of things is because we'll get students come through and let's just say, for example, a Bonnie, send them to go get their passport training. They came in, they took their passport training, all of a sudden something didn't work out and they enroll in the program. They're like, I literally just took my passport training last month. There's the catch. You have to be there for all 3 weeks,
Okay.
right? I don't care if you just did the training yesterday, you still have to do it again. And well, hey, it should be an easy class for you, right?
Mhm.
And that's the other thing that I always tell people because, safety's safety, but the way I may portray a safety, another instructor may have a different view on it where you're going to pick up something different. Oh yeah, hey, I didn't think about it like that.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
So, I mean, it was something that was really hard for me, and I didn't start understanding it until I started doing it for a living. This is when I worked in the industry. Why do I have to take the same training every single year?
Yeah.
So what do? Right, and then after becoming a trainer, I have to take the same trainings every year. I have to take trainings that I teach, right? And it took me a little while to process it a little different. It's like, okay, well, hang on, I have a different instructor. Let's see what their outlook is on it. And there isn't a training that I've sat through 1,000 times over that I haven't picked out one nugget of information. And if you can teach me just one thing, that was worth my time there, in my opinion.
Right.
Right? So I have to sit through the classes that I teach through Westec.
Yeah.
And that's really hard for me because now I'm watching another instructor do it differently than the way I do it. Spit out the same information, but in a different way. And, the first few years, it's like, oh my goodness, man, it's so painful for me because I know this information. But that's where I had to get over. It's like, yeah, you may know this information, but the second you think you know it all, you know absolutely nothing, right? So I was going to training like that with just an open mind. Okay, what can I learn from you? And if you can't teach me technical knowledge because I already know all that stuff, You know, well, now I'm gonna start looking at other things. You know, how do you hold yourself? How do you speak? You know, there's always something you can learn in a training, regardless of it's your first time or your 100th time. And that's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
Now, I go into forklift training. I operated a forklift for a good 20 years, and now I have to sit through more training on this. It's just I had to get over that mindset. Instead of I have to do this again, what can I learn here today? And once I broke through that barrier, training opened up a whole new world for me.
Yeah.
Because I learned something from everything. Right? Even standing in front of classes. Well, yeah, just because I'm the guy up there who supposedly knows most of the information, I can't even tell you guys how much I learned from my students as well. I haven't done everything, been everywhere. You know, you guys have experience that I probably don't, and I can learn from that.
So say I were to do the classes and get my certifications, if I were to get a job, say a year later, I forget to recertify my other certificates and I get laid off, would I be able to come back to Westec and redo the passport classes again?
Absolutely. Right, so with certain classes, we have refresher trainings.
Okay.
Right, so like Passport, for example. Although Passport isn't our class, it's actually the California oil producers class. They give us the material, they tell us what they want teaching, we teach it.
Yeah.
They give you a 30-day grace period. So let's say that you take your Passport today, 1 year from that date, come in and do the refresher training.
Okay.
Because the refresher training will cost you or your company the same amount of money, but what it costs you less of is time. Right, so the Passport training is 3 hours in length.
Yeah.
Give or take. The refresher training, about 45 minutes. Come in, watch video, take a test, you're out of there. Right? Now, a lot of people will do the full training because, I'd rather sit in training than be at work. I mean, and teach their own. But a lot of people is just like, hey, I need to get to work, so that 45 minutes, absolutely do it.
Okay.
HasWhopper, 40-hour HasWhopper. I harp on that one all the time. 40 hours, right? You have 1 year. After that 1 year, you have very little grace period, right? And we do an 8-hour refresher. You let that 40-hour HasWhopper lapse, guess what? You're doing 40 hours again.
Yeah, because
So,
the 8 hours no
yeah.
longer available.
So I always tell people when I'm doing that training, whether you are using this training or not, I highly recommend before it expires, come in and do the refresher training.
Okay.
Because 8 hours is a lot easier to manage than 40 hours.
Perfect.
Right? And then the rest of them, like forklift, we'll do refresher training only if you have one of our cards.
Yeah.
If we trained you, we will give you a refresher training. Anybody else train you, we won't accept it.
Okay.
And then medic first aid, we also have a refresher training as well. Right? So our full course is 8 hours, our refresher course is 4 hours.
Okay.
So basically what it just starts coming down to, it'll cost you the same amount of money, but it costs you less time. And you know, I don't know about you, if I can take a condensed course of something that I have a good grasp of knowledge on, I'd rather take the condensed course so I can move on with my day.
Yeah.
So I always tell people, make sure that you come in and do the refresher trainings. So if you let it lapse too much, and I feel bad for some 40-hour people, they're like, well, I just wasn't using it. You know, I wasn't working in that particular field. I didn't see a need. You know, and then I get a smile on my face and sarcastically say, well, you see a need for it now?
Yeah.
Right? You know, and sometimes it's good if you haven't taken the course or haven't been working in the field for a long time to take the full course to give you a refresher. But I don't know about you guys, trying to find 40 hours to be able to give is a very hard thing for me to do. Unless my work goes, hey, we want you to go here and we're going to pay you and pay for it, then I'm like, yeah, let's go.
If you're not getting paid for it, you might as well do
Yeah.
the condensed.
Yeah, because if I'm not getting paid for it, well, then that's going to take food off my dinner table.
Yeah.
And I can go for a couple days without eating if need be, but I don't want my kids to do that.
Yeah, definitely.
Right, so always coming for the refresher trainings.
Yep.
Right. Any other questions? All right. Well, I hope to see some of your smiling faces in some of our classes.
Mhm.
Although this is mainly where you see me these days, I do get yanked into classes from time to time. And remember, you know, your education doesn't have to stop here. This is the basic safety training that you need, and maybe find a field that you like working in. You know, like I said, correction officers always make me scratch my head. I don't want to be in jail. But you know, some people like that. You know, they find their niche in life. Safety, I enjoy doing it. I get paid to talk to people, and I've probably already talked too long, as you can tell. I talk.
It was well spoken though.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, good presentation.
So
Well,
yeah,
thank
it
you so much for making time.
it was hard to keep myself glued to the chair
Yeah.
though. You know? So if I seem a little fidgety, that's why.
That was good.